Hello everyone and welcome. This is Dawn. I'm so glad you could join me. So Christmas in July has been around for a long time. So in keeping with the tradition, I wanted to share a card I made a while back because I thought it was too cute not to share. And it's a great time to start thinking about Christmas cards. I'm going to be using the Whimsy stamps No Peeking Mice stamp set. These mice are absolutely adorable. I'm just in love with the little peeking mouse over here. So let's get started. First, to save some time, I stamped the mouse out with Copic friendly ink and then I cut it out with my brother's Scan and Cut. And next I'm gonna use the Whimsy Stamps pierced and stitched circle dies, and I take the two middle-sized circle dies and I tape them together. I'm gonna use these to make my frame for my shaker card. I die cut the circles 4 times from red cardstock and then I'm just going to set them aside. I did want to mention you do need about 6 circles. I ended up adding foam tape to give it more height, as you'll see later in the video. Then I'm going to use the Christmas Eve pattern paper to make the background for my card. I'll be using this background right here. I trimmed the pattern paper down to 5.5 by 4 1/4, and I also have a top folding A2 size white card base that I'm going to use. I take the same 2 dies I used to make the red frames for the card, and I separate them because I'm only going to use the larger circle. I'm going to place it where I want it to go on my pattern paper, and then I'm going to run it through my die cut machine. I'm going to start to build my shaker window. I adhere 2 of the circles together, and I adhere the pattern paper to the front of the card base. Then I just want to see how my red circle fits inside the circle on the pattern paper before I continue to build up my shaker window, and it looks like it fits pretty good. So I adhere another red circle to the other 2 frames. I take a piece of acetate and I trim it down to fit behind the red circle frames. Next, I'm going to adhere the acetate to the back of the red circle frames. I don't like using liquid glue when it comes to this because for some reason I always smudge it on the acetate. I don't know about anybody else, but it never fails for me. So I mostly use double-sided tape when I can. The double-sided tape works really well, and I just keep bending it as I go around the circle. I remove the backing from the tape and then I adhere the acetate to the double-sided tape. I put more double-sided tape on the remaining red circles and I adhere them onto the acetate. Okay, so I decided I needed more height for my shaker window because the shaker bits I'm using are kind of thick. So instead of trying to line the dies up back to make some more frames, I opted to just put foam tape on the back of the circle frames. I just cut it down to a very skinny strip and it worked just fine. Now that my shaker window is made, I'm going to heat emboss my sentiment onto a piece of black cardstock. I rub my paper with my embossing powder bag, and then I stamp the sentiment with Versamark ink. I pour gold embossing powder onto it, and when my heat tool is good and hot, I will heat emboss the sentiment. And then I'll trim it down to size. Now I'm going to do some quick Copic coloring, nothing fancy. I use some W3 warm gray for around the edge of the entire mouse, and then I color the entire mouse in with W1 warm gray, and then I'll bring in some W5 and I just go around the edges a little bit. I just keep blending as I go. I will then use some R11 pale cherry to color the mouse's ears and his tongue in. And then I bring in the W1 again and I go over the pale cherry just to color in his ears so that it's not so bright. I will use the 100 black to color his nose in. And then I use number 0 neutral gray to shade his teeth and his eyes. And I will color the hat with the R29 lipstick red, and then I'll just blend it all together with the R27. Now it's time to fill the shaker window. I'm using the Buttons Galore and More Winter Wonder Sparkletz. I just put a bunch in the middle of the window, and then I take the release paper off of the back of the foam tape and I just place the circles over the confetti. And look at how nice all these shaker bits move all around. And to finish off the card, I add foam tape to the back of the mouse and I adhere him to the front of the shaker window. and I put foam tape on the back of the sentiment, and I adhere it to the shaker window as well. And that's going to complete my card for today. I want to thank you for joining me on the Whimsy Stamps YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed my card. I would love for you to leave a comment below and let me know what you think of it. We would love for you to subscribe to the Whimsy Stamps channel and their other social media platforms so you don't miss out on any upcoming releases and great inspirational videos. Also, check out their website for all their new releases. And as always, thanks for stopping by and have yourself a wonderful day.